Well, you can get emotional without being spiritual, but you can't be really spiritual without somehow involving a little emotion. People get emotional about football games and basketball games and turkey and dressing. Come on, talk to me. Get emotional about soap operas and dope operas and Young and Restless. Half of them ain't even young, they're just restless. So they keep searching for their tomorrows and end up in another world. Looking for the guiding light. Forget all that stuff, because after all, as the world turns, you ain't got but one life to live. So you got to live that for the guiding light. You and all your children. All the days of your life. Ain't that neat? And that's more hope than Ryan could ever give you. Come on, clap them hands. Well, obviously, it's time to give the benediction and go have some lunch. But that ain't going to happen, not right now. Thank you for your endurance and your patience and your love, and for coming out on this Sunday after Christmas when most folks are still getting over turkeys and sleeping in and relaxing, but you came, and thank you so much. Thank you, Pastor David and the choir. Every time we come home, it's literally a homecoming for all of us from New Dimensions to come to our church here at Higher All Souls. Some people went from higher dimensions to highly demented. Right here. Thank you, Pastor Marlon, for your graciousness and for your hospitality, for your friendship and your mentorship. We mentor each other. And he's a very, very, very dear friend. I call him a spiritual venture capitalist. He takes risks and he explores and he studies and he listens and he learns. He's world traveled, and he's been all over the world. He making reference to the story from out of Africa. He was actually there in India, and he's traveled and climbed mountains, and I like him. I think he's one of the most charming intellectuals in the pulpit that I know. Brilliant preacher. And this is a great church to be. And again, very few churches give their Sunday morning. In fact, I know not another church who would give the Sunday morning offering to another charitable or philanthropic cause. And that's why your pledges that you make every year are so important to this ministry. And I never knew of that until you actually sent us a gift when we first started preaching inclusion and got the left finger of fellowship. I'm sorry, the left foot of fellowship, but this was the first church, this was the only church that actually took a Sunday morning offering and sent it to us. And great, it just attached to my heart. Then when I realized y'all gave your offerings away, I started hanging out with the preacher. And to hear Colin, where's Colin Bent, who we had him on there in the back. Stand up, Colin. You saw him on the video this morning. One of my best friends. Dear, he and Jennifer, precious. And we spread the ashes of his mother right out here in the garden behind. Tonil, their daughter, is here this morning, was my administrative assistant for so long. Such a connection here. And it fits so well because we're all evolving. Not only are we at New Dimensions now, All Souls, but you at All Souls are evolving and revolving. And we're all becoming increasingly engaged in our own self-development and our consciousness. I want to speak very briefly, whatever that means, from the subject on the birth. You've had excellent exhortations and teachings and lessons the last several weeks of this month. My topic is the birth of Christ, but I'm calling it the birth of Christ within, or being born again, not of just Jesus 2,000 years ago, the man we call Jesus, who became Christ, his historical birth, but the mystical aspect of your rebirth and my rebirth and our constant evolution in consciousness and elevation of awareness, self-awareness, soul awareness. The passage that I'd like to use is 1 John 5:4. That's a scripture, for those of you who don't know what that is. Every once in a while, we use it. Now, I take the Bible very seriously. I just don't take it literally. I think it's more important what Jesus said about God than what the church says about Jesus. And we're evolving that constantly and becoming increasingly aware. I'm reading out of the letter of John, who might have been in his 90s when he wrote this letter. 40 years earlier, he has the Gospel of John. But I want to read first from 1 John 5:4. Everyone born, or anyone born, that word is genao in Greek. He would have used a different term in Aramaic. But in the Greek Bible, everyone genao, or genetically inclined, everyone gened or genuinely, everyone generated of God or of divinity, everyone reborn. Earlier he said you must be born again. The Greek word for again is anothen, where we get the English word another, or ano, meaning high, be born from above. Unless you are born, and until you are awakened in consciousness, you will not enter or even recognize the king's domain or the dominion of higher consciousness. Royal thinking. Unless or until a person has been renewed. And that's not just a one-time experience. I am being renewed today. I got renewed yesterday when I finished with the turkey and all. At my age and stage in life, I'm being reconceived. I'm reconceiving and reconsidering, reconnecting, reconciling, recollecting, literally remembering my dismembered soul. Because we leave factions or fractions of ourselves in every conversation, everything we've ever done in our lives, everything we will ever do. He restoreth my soul. Nefesh in Hebrew, psyche in Greek and English. Putting your head back together. We're all in the process of renewing and reknowing ourselves all over again for the first time. I beseech you, brethren, by the mercy of God, you present your bodies a living sacrifice, a lifetime of giving, holy and acceptable unto God, which is your spiritual discipline, your reasonable service or spiritual discipline. And be not conformed to this cosmos world, this cosmetic makeup or setup, but be renewed. But be renewed by the be conformed by the renewing or the renovation of your thinking. Everybody say, renew your mind. That means to renovate or to redo your mind. To go through a renovation of your thinking. That's why we're here. We would have never even been in this place except we reconsidered what we believe and why we believe it. And I keep doing that. Not only what I believe about God, but what I believe about myself as an expression of divinity on the planet. Jesus said, ye are gods. Or is not written in your law that ye are divinities. You are sitting next to an aspect of God. I call this pre-incarnation, when you rethink what you tend to forget, that before we ever got in these human costumes that we call flesh, pre-incarnately, we probably, because you can't prove this kind of thing, can you? We probably agreed to come here. And most humans then forget that. And in our amnesia, we panic. And we start apologizing. And we start getting suspicious and critical and vindictive and paranoid. Why am I here? How come I'm out of money? How come I don't feel love? Why am I frustrated? I didn't sign up for this. Yes, you did. You just forgot it. Before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you. I was intimate with you. I had covenant with you. And we agreed that we should come to this plane or planet of consciousness to experience our own divinity, express that divinity, then expose that divinity to the world and remind everybody else that they are too divine. They are also divine. 1 John 5:4. Everyone or anyone born of God, of theos, or of divine awareness, overcomes. The word is nekao in Greek, where we get the English word, also that word Nike. You've heard of Nike shoes and Nike. That means to have victory. We are not victims of circumstances. We are victors over them. I am not a victim of circumstance. I've never allowed victim consciousness. My wife and children are here. We've gone through all kinds of changes, but we've never allowed ourselves, we've never submitted to or acquiesced to a victim consciousness. It's all a part of the process of evolution. All things literally really do orchestrate together. They all work in concert. Losing a job, losing a home, losing a family, whatever you think you've lost, you're also gaining an aspect of yourself that you would not have throughout that experience. If you just say yes, it all works out just fine. Stop protesting and contesting and resenting and resisting and picking yourself apart. Enjoy being you. Respect being you. Celebrate being you. We're human beings before we're ever human doings. Turn to someone and say, I got my stuff together. Even though I don't know what all that stuff is, I got it together. I'm learning what it is. I'm stirring up the gift of God that is within me. Everyone born of God. I'm really abbreviating this. I love these short services and things. Normally you're out in about an hour. And what shows that you're evolving is if you don't freak out if we go a couple of minutes over. Turn to your neighbor and say, how you doing this morning? And how your mama and them doing? Everyone born of God overcomes, conquers the cosmos. That is the external or exterior, the external accents of the planet. Everyone who is reawakened in consciousness is not subdued by the circumstances of your planetary experience. Overcomes the world. This is the victory, the nikao, the Nike, the means of success that has overcome the cosmos, even our convictions, our faith, it says. What we are convinced of has victory over us because we become what we think about. Whatever you're convicted of or convinced of becomes your reality. You can have all the money in the world, but if you feel impoverished in your soul, you're going to be a pauper. You can have no money at all, but if in consciousness you are convinced that you're all right, then you're all right. We become what we think most about. And what we ultimately fear, we ultimately experience. Job said, the thing I feared most came upon me, or has come upon me. So you have to decide what you're going to faith and what you're going to fear. Faith cometh by akouo in Greek, acoustics in English. The constant reverberation or repetition or resonation, the resounding. Whatever you hear the most, it's just bouncing around in your spirit, bouncing around in your mind, bouncing around in your soul. You keep repeating it over and over. It actually becomes your reality. You invent it in consciousness, then invite it into your reality. Being born again is rethinking, reconsidering, reconceiving, reconnecting with an ultimate reality that is still evolving in your life. I don't know how to arrive. I used to hear Oral Roberts say, I just know how to keep on going. Where are you going? I don't know, but I'm going. I'm on my way to that ultimate evolution that we call eternity. Whatever that is, the ongoingness. This is the victory, the means of success that has overcome the world, even our faith, even our convictions. I am born anew, reconceived, everybody is having to deal with a repositioning right now. Watch this. A reconfiguration, a reconsideration, a rearranging. Children grow, your body changes, the circumstances around your life change, your thinking keeps evolving. Have you ever seen yourself through the eyes of someone else that you have become? I ask myself that question constantly. Ask yourself, have you ever seen yourself through the eyes of someone else that you have become? Because if you haven't, that means you're not evolving. That means you're stagnating. You're locked into a syndrome and you're bored with your own life. You become too common to yourself. You lose your own self-fascination. How could you expect anybody else to be fascinated with you if you're bored with you? I am constantly being fascinated with the parts of me that I had not experienced. Even if I meet somebody, and you've heard me say this before, you meet somebody that kind of frazzles you a little bit and kind of irritates you, ticks you off, turns you off, or turns you on. Whatever it is, you have to study yourself and ask yourself, why am I responding that way? When you say, I really don't like that person, what you're saying is, I really don't like the aspect of myself that I experience when I'm with that person. Or if you say, I love so-and-so. You love the aspect of yourself that you experience when you're with me. I just had to put a name in there somewhere. The only person you'll ever love or not love, like or not like, is you. So the question is, how do you experience yourself? How do you know yourself? What do you think about you? What do you know about you? What do you believe about you? And I keep going through a rebirth, and I keep rethinking me. Even if you have an opinion, it helps me rethink me. That keeps the control in your hands and not somebody else. Talk to me, somebody. You're shifting right now. We're going into 2011. I'm almost, and I'm closing the world. Thank you, Elder Smith and Sister Smith. 2011. Now, in biblical numerology, 10 is the number of divine order. Order, no perfection. 12 is the number of divine government. 11 is in between. One number past divine order, one number less than divine government. So in biblical numerology, it suggests disorganization, disintegration, chaos, imperfection. We might experience some of that I'm experiencing some of it now. Whensoever 2011 get here. Now watch the 20. A little bit of disorientation. The government will experience it governmentally, possibly economically, domestically. Watch a few things shift. Now don't be alarmed. I'm warning you now. Don't be alarmed by that. Because 11 also could suggest God evens things out. Expect a reorganization, a reevaluation, and to bring blessing and balance into your life. Now hear me now. Whatever comes down the pike that shocks you, don't react. The universe is correcting itself without our permission. We done messed it up. It's going to fix itself. So there's going to be these shiftings in the next 12 months or so, maybe the next 12 minutes if I don't hurry and get through. Expect it, welcome it. Never fight it. What you resist persists. What you fight often ignites. So accept it as it comes. Embrace it. Salute it for its value, because it's bringing something into your life. You're going to learn from this experience. Some of you have had a conversation in the last 24 or 48 hours. You didn't even sleep well last night because of that one conversation. It razzled you, frustrated you, and it might have been with somebody you love. Nobody can hurt you like somebody you love. And the spirit of homicide rose up in you. White folks is suicide, black folks is homicide. Excuse me, but we don't kill we. I ain't gonna kill me, I'll kill you first. Some folks, you want to kill them and tell God you found them dead. But what you do is confront that and say, wait a minute, why am I feeling that? I'm almost saying, why am I feeling that? Why is that emotion, why is it rising up in me? What is it trying to teach me? Maybe you got an evil word. What do we call an evil word? Maybe you went to the doctor and you just found you have a growth or a tumor. Why is it here? Don't curse it before you say, wait a minute, what's the conversation? Talk to me. I didn't invite you consciously, but maybe I did subconsciously. What are you here for? Mr. Tumor, Mrs. Cyst, let's have a conversation because you're not going to intimidate me. You're not going to kill me. You're going to teach me. And once I've learned, you out of here. Talk to me, somebody. Now, your body talks to you. Your consciousness talks to you. You have to learn how to do that. Embrace yourself. That's part of your evolution. That's part of your born-again experience. Not saving you from God. We don't need Jesus to protect us from God. You got to have Jesus. If you don't have Jesus, God's going to get you. And then turn you over to the devil. And then he's going to turn you back over to God. That's not what it's all about. I'm not talking about the traditional understanding of salvation. I'm talking about your own recollection of your safekeeping. Put your arms around yourself. Hug yourself for a minute. But keep your eyes on this preacher when I tell you this. I have been through, personally, my family and I, and many of you have the same story. We've been through all kinds of changes. Am I shocked? No. Am I upset? No. Do I want to kill somebody? No, but I want to cut somebody. No. I told you I went to, when I got into inclusion and started getting expanded consciousness, I took a few cousin classes. And I passed to the honor society. I keep one word with me all the time on my back pocket just in case I need it, and I never leave home without it. That's superficial, but inside I'm evolving. Come on down, Madge. I'm evolving. And I thought, let me welcome this embrace. Let me embrace this new session and season in my world. Very powerful. Don't resist it. Don't curse your crisis. Think of the chestnuts roasting on the open fire. Think of the Christmas holidays and think of the New Year celebrations. Allow you or yourself to evolve in consciousness. Let Christ evolve in you. Not just Jesus the man, Christ the mystery. Your God self. We're not just human beings looking for spiritual experiences. We are spirit having an earthly encounter. And we're on our way to a wealthy place in consciousness. Regardless of what happens in 2011, look at me and remember I'm telling you, relax. Embrace it. It's God bringing balance. L even. 11. Bringing blessing and balance into your life.